Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is The Matrix
Barakatah.
Woke Out of Slumber. Because either two things, either you're caught up in the matrix or you're awoke out of that slumber that either you woke out of the slumber of this world, or you're caught up in it. And pretty much, I was just looking up a couple of words. A couple of precepts came to mind. I kind of jotted them down. And the title kind of came to me earlier. Well, not kind of, came to me earlier. Dealing with the matrix and being woke out of slumber, because, we were all at one time or another caught up in the matrix. We were all up, all asleep, all under the impression that the world we were living in was the true world, that everything was, everything that you saw was what it was. There was no, smoke and mirrors, so to speak. There was no, deception. Everything was just plain, and that's how we pretty much thought. But we did have an inkling through the spirit that something was wrong, but it wasn't something that we could put our finger on, so to speak, until the Lord pretty much woke us up out of that slumber. Now, pretty much the Matrix, when you watch the series of the movies, this was like as you see here, this was pretty much a group of numbers, letters. You could see some Hebrew here, and pretty much it's just a big conglomeration of thoughts, ideas, philosophy, religion, an agenda, that has been put together to so-called educate the people, or re-educate the people into what they want you to believe, because they have an agenda. And we're going to look up a couple of these words. So this pretty much here was like a incubation, or kind of just like a depiction of being within the womb of the matrix, being caught up in the system, being asleep. And although you're walking around, because remember, the people in the movie were walking around, although you're walking around, you're still asleep if you're not awoke to the truth and the facts of things that are happening around you and of this big agenda. So I looked at the word matrix, right? And the word matrix is something within or from which something else originates, develops, or takes form. A mold from which a relief surface, such as a piece of type, is made. So pretty much it's a pattern, which we're going to get that word also. It's a pattern, and the word pattern means a form or model proposed for imitation, something designed or used as a model for making things. So pretty much they have in place this agenda or this pattern of the elite, of the world that they want to rule and govern, which is going to be a world governed in wickedness, and the Most High is allowing these devils to do that because the earth is given into their hands. They have that power, but they're not using that power wisely, because they are the wicked. They're using that power to be like the Most High, or try to be like the Most High. When we go to the book of Micah, the 2nd chapter, in the 1st verse, it says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hands." So now let's go to the word practice it, which is Aisha, which means to do. And that's pretty much what an agenda is. When you look at the word agenda is a list of things to do. So they practice it or they do it because it's in the power of their hand to do. If you're going to attend a meeting, I'm just going to skip around a little bit. The word agenda is the plural form of the Latin word agendum, which literally means something to be done. The noun retains this meaning because an agenda is a plan organized by time of events or things to do. You see? So pretty much that's what an agenda is, and that's what they have in place, is an agenda to do and push this so-called New World Order. And the so-called New World Order, they have rules and regulations and laws that you have to govern by. And they want the whole world to fall in line with their agenda. And this is why they are pushing, so hard, especially now, on this cashless society, because they want to push that microchip into everyone so that they can easily track every transaction and every place you go and everything that you do. Because at the end of the day, a slave is not a slave unless they can keep track of them. And the best way they can keep track of them is to have something embedded within them and have them within a pattern of things, to do, because, humans are creatures of habit. Once you get into something, you pretty much stay with that. Like, you might eat cereal, you might drink, orange juice, so and certain people have a preference. I prefer the Florida over the, so every time you go to the store with your credit cards or your debit cards or whatever, and you buy stuff, that keeps track of who you are. It keeps an algorithm of your habits. And this is pretty much why they're trying to be that the power on earth to be able to control and manipulate everybody, because they want to be like the Most High, which I'm going to get that also. But before I read that, let's go back. Let me get it so I don't forget it. Let's go to Isaiah 14. All right, so now let's go back. So it says they practice it or they do it because why? They have an agenda. And they have, and it's also done in the form of a pattern. And let's look up the word pattern real quick. Pattern is a form or model proposed for imitation, something designed for or used as a model for making things. And this is why they have these colleges. These colleges are not there to make people wiser. These colleges are there to select the most brilliant, so-called, among the people that go there, no matter what race you are, so that you can help push forward their agenda. So they're pretty much, when you go to college or when you go to high school and you play ball, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, you have scouts. And those scouts' job is to go from city to city, state to state, and find the best recruits, for either baseball or football or, or basketball or whatever the case is. And they follow these people very closely, and they follow their career very closely. So they do the same thing with future leaders of this world. They mold them. There's a pattern that they want them to follow, and they mold them and make them follow that pattern so that the people, the masses of people that are watching, can be blinded to that pattern, to that agenda. And it's pretty much a big assembly line. And that's what these different colleges are all about. It's a big assembly line of auditions, so to speak, for the next world rulers or the next people that will be running and governing this demonic New World Order agenda. So it's an assembly line. I looked up the word assembly line or words assembly line or phrase assembly line. It says a series of workers and machines in a factory by which a succession of identical items is progressively assembled. And this is why when we look at this picture, you see that this was a big assembly line of people that were pretty much fed, what this world wanted them to see and feel and hear, so that they can be, accustomed to the agenda of the New World Order. This is why they're pushing that, the transsexual and homosexual and the LGBTQ, XYZ, whatever, other letters they put to it, so on and so forth, because this is all a part of that agenda. It's all a part of that demonic agenda, which is being run by Satan, which the top people of Satan are the Edomites, so-called white people, but the main heads of all of that are the international bankers, the top rich banking Edomite families of the planet, beginning with Amalek, the so-called Jews. All right. So now that we dealt with that, let's go back to Micah 2 and let's read that again. And there was another point here. Woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, or they do it because they have an agenda, because it is in what? The power of their hand. So when you go to the word power, right, you have the word Allah or Allah. And the word Allah just simply means God or power, judge. See, God like one, mighty one. So they're trying to be a God like one. And this is why they're into all this eugenics, and they're all into artificial intelligence, and they're all into splicing genes and looking into different ways to so-called make humans better or make them more obedient. Put this chip in them, the brain implant, because the brain implant, you can stimulate the mind, by a series of signals, and you could turn a people's aggression to docility. You could turn a person's docility to aggression. You can pretty much control them and make them the perfect slave, just like a robot, a robot, And that's pretty much what they want, because that's what the New World Order is all about, making robots of the rest of the people, while the ones that are governing and ruling receive all the benefits of everything. And a very good movie to watch is that movie 1984. And they show you a vision of the future of how they want to keep people docile, So moving on from there, let's go real quick to the book of Job 9 and 24. In the book of Job 9:24, it says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Then now we read about the power, because it is in the power of their hand. So the hand is what? Yad, which is the Hebrew word yad. So it is given into the power of their hand. And then, symbolism wise, the hand or the 5 represents power. There's a whole what you call it about that, you could break down, but I haven't gone into that. The law of 5s, I haven't gone into that in a while, so I don't really fully remember the whole thing, but it's not really important. The point is to know. I mean, if you know it, that's good, that's beautiful, but the main thing to know is that they have the power in their hand to do this. So when we go to Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. See? So it's given into their hands. And when you look up this word hand, it's yad again. So it's in their power, the power of the wicked. So the earth was given. Nathan, the word Nathan means to give. So this earth, the power of this earth, and the way that this earth is governed and manipulated is given into the power in the hand of the wicked, which we know according to the scriptures that we have identified as the Edomites. And they have an agenda that they're pushing. And this agenda that they're pushing does not go hand in hand with the Most High's agenda, even though it does on the left-hand side, if you could receive it. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. And they have a priesthood. They have a religion. They have philosophies. They have beliefs, on the left-hand side. When you research those different empires in the past, every empire that came and went, they all had a priesthood. But that priesthood was on the left-hand side. And this is the philosophies or the fruit that was eaten in the Garden of Eden, that Eve ate. She was supposed to eat, and she gave to Adam to eat. That the serpent, which was an actual man, pushed upon them. And this is the philosophies that have taken over and corrupted the whole world. But now we're coming to the point where that corruption of the whole world is being turned right side up, because the whole entire planet is under that vibration right now. Let's go to Psalms 82. And this is why you see such demonic activity and demonic vibration going on in the world, because the whole world is upside down. This is like like in Superman, they call it the bizarro world. So this is what we're living in. We're living in the bizarro world. But slowly but surely, that bizarre world is being turned right side up by the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai through the prophets that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has set out there. Psalms 82 and 5. A matter of fact, I'll start at... You know what? I'm just going to go straight to the point. You can read the whole chapter. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. Why? Because the earth is given into their power. So if the earth is given into their power, what does that mean? That means that they're going to push their agenda on the world. And their agenda is not cool. Their agenda is evil. It's wicked. It corrupts. That's that the cup that has all the abominations in it. Psalms 126 and... or is it 125? I believe it's 125 and 3. Oops. Go back. Go to 125 and 3. For the rod of the wicked, meaning what? The correction of the wicked. The philosophies of the wicked. Because what happens if you break Esau's laws? They punish you for it. So we know that according to the scriptures, a homosexual is supposed to be put to death. But if you do that, they punish you for it. So their correction, or the correction of the wicked, shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous. Why? Because you have the righteous that are out here, that are learning this truth. And the scripture said that if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. But because they are the elect means what? They will not be deceived. Right? It says, least the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity, because the scriptures say that the way of the righteous is sure, or something like that, but the ways of the wicked seduceth them. Let's go there real quick, because I know I done butchered that. Proverbs 12, I believe it's 26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, see? But the way of the wicked seduceth them. So they're on a seduction spree, and that's what that cup is all about. And this is why the angel kind of snapped at the Apostle John. He said, why you marvel? Because he was just in awe. Because this wickedness in this world will awe you if you don't have a foundation. And this is why you have a lot of Jake going into the entertainment world, you know, getting all up in there, man. They're knee deep in the shit, you know, inside joke, but it's the truth. And the reason why is because they're all caught up in this society, because this wickedness will lure you in. It will seduce you. And the word seduce is tha'ai. To err, wonder, go astray, stagger, see? So that's what happens. They'll seduce you, making you think that it's right, but it's not. It's wicked. Tha'ai. To err, to wander about physically, of intoxication. They will intoxicate you with what? Of sin, ethically. Wandering of the mind. So they'll put things out there that'll make your mind wander away from the right path of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And that's what Esau's matrix is all about, causing the mind to stray away from him, whereby causing anger in the Most High and causing him to destroy 2/3 of Jake that don't fall in line with the truth of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Because you're going to serve somebody. You know, even Bob Dylan did a song like that. I believe it was Bob Dylan. You're gonna serve somebody. You're either going to serve the Lord or you're going to serve Satan. You know, you're going to serve somebody. You see? So the way of the wicked seduced them to be made to wander about. All right. So now let's go back to Psalms 84 and 5. They know not, neither will they understand. Because these devils are not going to fully understand, because it says that the wicked shall not understand. They're not going to fully understand until the Lord comes back and destroys this place and takes their kingdom down. And they're going to be in them bomb shelters hoping to be hid from the wrath of the Lamb. But they're not going to be able to be hid from the wrath of the Lamb. Because of when Yahushua destroys this place, he's coming, you know, round them up out of them shelters wherever they be at, and they're going right into slavery to suffer the punishment and to pay back everything that they've done. It says they walk on in darkness, because they'll continue to walk in darkness, because their main agenda was what? To be be hiding. That's what they call the Illuminati, the illuminated ones, because the rest of the world was in darkness. But they being the illuminated ones, they're the ones that control the light of wickedness of this world. And we know that the scriptures say that the knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom. And they were in the shadows. They've been pushing out this agenda. They have the light of what they want to do, but the rest of the world was in darkness. Didn't know what was going on. Went about living their life, thinking that everything was hunky-dory, in this state of confusion and sleep, until the ones that the Lord wanted to woke up out of this dream world. They're like, oh shit, damn, I knew something was wrong, And now all of a sudden the Spirit is working with brothers to wake them up, and sisters out of that demonic sleep. It says all the foundations of the earth are out of course. So this whole world is under the vibration of the wicked. It's out of course. That's why everything is falling apart. Because if you build something and you don't run that object properly, what's going to happen? It's going to break down, because it was made to run a certain way. So this society was meant to run a certain way in righteousness, so that everything can be in that righteous vibration and be on a forward motion, forward moving thing, and everything was supposed to grow and expand and increase and just exude righteousness. So like, I couldn't think of a better word. I didn't mean to throw a $50 word at you brothers, but it would be dripping with righteousness. But it's the total opposite, because the vibration that's on it and the people that are ruling it from a wicked perspective. Let's go to Isaiah 24 and 5. It says, I'll start at 4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. Why is it mourning and fading away? Because the people that are ruling it are not ruling it the proper way. They put a different type of oil in the mechanism. And the mechanism was supposed to have R oil, and they put W oil in it. Righteous oil and wicked oil. It says the world languisheth and fadeth away. And you see it happening, man. Elder Yashawamba does a lot of videos on different animals and the perils that they're going through, and and the case of the earth. Being a nature man, I know the brother loves the nature. I mean, we all do, but he has a special affinity for it. It says the hardy people of the earth do languish. See? And why are they languishing? Because they have the book, but they're not following the book. They have their own agenda. And their agenda consists of people, the rest of the people, being caught up in the matrix, in that womb. Okay? It says the earth also is defiled. And we read that the word matrix is something within or from which something else originates, develops, or takes form. There's a pattern, a mold. It's a mold, a pattern. And we read about the word pattern. The word pattern, a form or model proposed for imitation. Then we read the word assembly line. It says a series of workers and machines in a factory by which a succession of identical items and is progressively assembled. And we see that depicted here. And when they show this scene, they show a whole bunch of people in this incubated state. They're in that fetus state. The whole world is in that fetus state, except for the elect that are waking up. And this is why when he woke up, he didn't know what to do. He's like, what the hell? Because everything was new to him. Just like when you wake up in the morning and if the sun is shining in your face, your eyes have to adjust to the light. Or you might wake up in the middle of the night, might have to use the bathroom. You have to turn the light on. And your eyes, you're squinting because your eyes they can't get used to it because you were sitting in the dark for so long. Well, that's what this world is like. When you first wake up, that's the effect that's taking place, because we were going through a transformation. And this is why the Lord said, let's go real quick through the mouth of the Apostle Paul. Let's go to 2 precepts. If I remember them, Romans 12 and and Ephesians 4. So let's go back to Romans 12 and 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, because there has to be a renewal of the mind, because our minds were trained in this assembly line, in this pattern, in this agenda form. We all had the conventional way of thinking, you know, even though in our spirit we knew that something was wrong. But we all reverenced a so-called white God, a so-called white Jesus. You know, we thought that the angels were white, the people of the Lord were white, so on and so forth, until the Lord woke us up out of that sleep. But we went through a transformation. It wasn't something that happened overnight. You know, you start to grow the beard, and you start looking kind of crazy, because, you never really grew out your beard like that. You start going, through withdrawal, so to speak, because that's the new man coming into play and pushing out the old man, which we see here, in these different scenes where Neo so-called woke up out of that sleep that he was in. So it says that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High, because the whole world is under wickedness. The whole world lieth in wickedness. But the men that the Lord is waking up are learning the ways to do the will of the Most High, the righteous will of the Most High. So when we go to Ephesians 4 and 22, it says that you put off concerning the former conversation the old man, which is corrupt according to this deceitful lust. And that's what was happening. And that's what's happening in this society, because this world is corrupt. And is run by corrupt people, because it was given into the hand of these corrupt people. But now the Lord is making them take accountability for the wicked things that they've done. And now it's time for them to pay. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind, because it all starts in the mind. Yahweh Shai said what? And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Because it all begins in the mind. We were slaves of the mind first. Before that, of course, we were physically enslaved. But after a while, they found a way to make mental slaves, until Yahweh B'Shem Shai woke us up out of that state. And that you put on the new man, which after the Most High is created in righteousness and true holiness. Why? Because this whole world lieth in wickedness. So we woke up out of that slumber through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. So going back to Isaiah 24 and 5, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws. They got the laws. It ain't like they don't have it. But let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will they not learn righteousness. Changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. So everything that they've done is gone clean contrary to the scriptures. Let's go real quick to, let me get 2 precepts, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see what this one says. Daniel 7:25. It says, and he shall speak great words against the Most High. And they have, because by them saying that the Most High is a so-called white man, that's speaking great words against them, saying that they're Christians and that they have the right way, that you got to follow them. Pushing that plantation Christianity on the world, pushing that transgender agenda on the people, on the world. And if you don't accept it, they blacklist you. They look down upon you. They make you feel bad for being straight. As to where one time it's still a shame, but it was a deep shame to where men and women that were homosexuals, they didn't come out the closet. Now, if you don't come out the closet, they're looking at you like something's wrong with you. And this is the madness that's going on. That's why the Lord said he would put his perverse spirit in the midst of Egypt. and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they have changed the times and the laws. That's why we under beginning with the Julian calendar, then into the Gregorian calendar, and we really technically don't know what year we're really in. Technically, you know, we really don't know, because the calendar's off, the time is off, everything is off. This is just an approximate time that we're keeping. That's why we're rehearsing the righteous acts, keeping our calendar within Esau's calendar. And every year that goes by, there's 11 days added to Esau's calendar. So that means that every 3 years, our calendar falls back a whole month. And this is why we have to keep adjusting, because we're trying to keep our calendar within his calendar. Until the Lord sets us back up into power, then we'll have everything proper, you know. It says, and they shall be given into his hand until the times, and the dividing of times. So they've been doing that. They've been changing the times. They've been changing the laws, because it is in the power of their hand, and they don't do the right thing. Daniel 8:25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Now this goes back to Antiochus Epiphanes, but Antiochus Epiphanes is what? He's an Edomite. And this is the same practices that they're using today. The same practices that the Roman Empire employed, the same practices that are being used today of pushing their policy. Let's look up this word policy. Shakal. Policy is the word shakal. Prudence, insight, understanding. Prudence, good sense, insight, understanding, cunning, craft. And that's why it says that thou art wiser than Daniel. Matter of fact, excuse me, let's get that. Let's get that, because that's a very important precept. Ezekiel 20:3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. Excuse me, there is no secret that they can hide from thee. See, why? Because they've searched everything out. They have all the records of everything, including the Bible. It says, with thy wisdom and with thy understanding thou hast gotten thee riches. And they have got these riches by what? By deceit. And has gotten gold and silver into thy treasure. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic thou hast increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Now I'm not sure if it's in the same chapter where it speaks about that they corrupted themselves with this wisdom that they have. They corrupted themselves. To lock it for a minute. Right here, beautiful. Verse 17. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. And they're being made naked right now. And eventually the Lord is going to bring them down. And when these nations finally wake up that this devil is nothing more than a scoundrel, you know, than a vile person, that's what it says, is this the man? They're going to be looking down upon this devil, you know? All right, so now let's go back. So we looked up the word policy. You know, and the policy lines up with what? Lines up with the their agenda. Okay? It says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, which, like I said, this is dealing with Antiochus Epiphanes, but this could be applied to Esau today, because he was an Edomite, and this is the same tactics that Esau uses today. You know, let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. You know, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, covered the faces of the judges thereof. You know, he changed laws and, you know, times and all of that. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And Antiochus Epiphanes did that, and Esau does that, because they're the same people. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands. And that happened when he was hit with that plague that killed him. Antiochus Epiphanes. But today, when Yahushua comes, he ain't going to lift a finger. It said that all you're going to see is a blast of smoke, a fire coming out of him. Because that's how he's going to take these devils down, by the missiles and by the fire that's coming from the chariots. All right, so let's see, where were we at? So going back to, okay, we already dealt with that. We read Ezekiel, we read Daniel. So let's go to 2 Corinthians 4:3. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Because not everyone's going to get this. Not every Israelite is going to get this truth. It says, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. And that's the thing. The belief of faith for the salvation through this truth was not given to every Israelite. It was only given to the elect. At least the light of the glorious gospel of Yahushua, who is the image of the Most High, should shine unto them. Because if this gospel shined unto them, what will happen? The Lord will have to heal them and save them. Because it said, the Lord said that through the foolishness, it pleased the Lord through the foolishness of preaching to save them which believe. For we preach not ourselves, but Yahushua the Lord, and ourselves your servants for Yahushua's sake. For the Most High, who hath commanded the light to shine out of darkness. Because when we were in the matrix, we were in darkness. Even though we were walking, we were groping. Like the scriptures say, groping at noonday. Although we could actually see where we were going, we really couldn't. That's why it says that they heard a word behind thee. It says, this is the way. Why? Because we were walking down the wrong path and we had to turn back around. The Spirit turned us back around to walk in the right direction. You know, like in the movie The Matrix, when they pulled the car over and Trinity opened the door and told him, look, you know where that path leads to. You know, so basically you don't want to go back to that. But then you had Cyrus, right? He wanted to go back in the Matrix. He said, I don't want to remember nothing. I don't want to remember nothing. He said, ignorance is bliss. I know this is not really staked. I know this, you know, he just wanted to go back into darkness because it was too overwhelming for him. He couldn't wait for the salvation. He just wanted to go back into ignorance. You know, and that's what happens with certain Israelites. They wake up and they can't deal with this because they're not a part of it, and they want to go back. They want to cast wisdom off of them because it's too much of a burden and go back into the world. But before they do that, in most cases, what they have to do is they know that their heart is convicted. So instead of them just going about their business and just fading off into the sunset, they have to try to demonize the truth so that they can feel better about themselves not being able to finish the course. You know? So they always try to find a fault with the doctrine or with the men of the Lord just so that they can feel better about themselves in leaving. You see? It says, for the Most High who commanded the light to shine out of darkness has shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Yahushua in the face of Yahushua. I'm sorry, read that again. For the Most High who commanded the light to shine out of darkness have shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of the Most High in the face of Yahushua. See? And that's what's happening. And this is why we're woke. We're awake because the Lord woke us up. Not because we were so smart and so brilliant or so righteous. None of that. It was just that the Lord called us to wake us up. And this is why we give diligence to make our calling and election sure in the hopes to make it all the way to the end. It says, but we have this treasure, what? In earthen vessels. So this treasure, this knowledge is a treasure that the Lord gave us. You know? And I was watching a brother's video last night. Trying to remember who it was. Kind of got my spirit sparked up into this lesson. I believe it was a brother Shahar from the Dallas camp. He did the lesson, something about the gates of wisdom or something like that. And he was kind of going into it. And, you know, and other brothers do lessons that kind of inspire that. You know, brothers do lessons, you know, thanking the Lord for opening his knowledge, you know, to us. Where he could have just left us out there in the cold. But he had mercy on us to wake us up to this knowledge. Because we have this treasure, what? In earthen vessels. That the excellency of the power may be of the Most High and not of us. Because anyone that doesn't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. Because at the end of the day, this is not about men. It's about Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Although he chose men as his prophets to bring out his word, to teach his word, it's about the program of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. It says, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. And this is happening. Why? Because we're wrestling against them demonic forces that are coming against us, because we are, through the Spirit, coming against them in this realm. See, but they're in the Spirit and we're in the flesh. So the only thing we have to combat them with is this word, because the rest of these people out here are blind. So you got to remember that when they come up, you know, and you get mad and upset. Well, we get mad and upset. You got to remember that they're being straight manipulated by Satan and these demons from this assembly line of this plantation Christianity that has been embedded in them, in their parents' parents, so on and so forth, for as long as they've been in this country, or for as long as Esau has been in this country. So you got to remember, that's hundreds of years of deep embedded plantation Christianity in Jake. You know, before Judah, Benjamin, and Levi got here, you had the northern kingdom. You know, then you had the rest of the tribes that were brought here, and they had that embedded in them. You see? So it's an agenda. Because at the end of the day, these devils, they want to push their so-called New World Order. But now, moving on from there, let's go to 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So we're not ignorant of the devices of Satan. We understand how he operates, because the Most High gave us the insight through the eye salve, through the oil, through this water, through the blood, through this bread of truth, through this wine of truth. Noama, a mental perception, thought, and evil purpose, that which thinks the mind, thoughts, or purposes. So we understand his purposes, his agenda, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So we are not ignorant of his agenda. We are not ignorant of his purpose. We're not ignorant of his devices, of the things that he's pushing, trying to push through. Why? Because the Lord woke us up out of that sleep. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 60. Let's read verse 2, and then we'll jump back to the first verse. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. See? So there's a darkness that has covered this earth, and gross darkness the people. Now let's go real quick to Isaiah 25:7. And he will destroy in this mountain. Who is the he? The Most High. Or destroy, or destructure, or break down, or reveal, or take the veil off of, in this mountain, in America, this government, the face of the covering cast over all people, because this didn't happen anywhere else. This happened here in America, beginning in New York. This truth that you see being taught around the earth started in New York, in Manhattan, at 1 West. And that's why it's such a big threat, because now it has compassed the whole earth. And these devils are nervous, because the Lord already said he would set us up in order before their eyes, and that they would be nervous. And they have the right to be nervous, because they put their hands on the anointed of the Lord. So it says, and he, the Most High, will destroy or destructure or break down in this mountain, America, the face of the covering cast over all people, because this darkness that was pushed upon the whole planet. We just read in Isaiah 60 that gross darkness would take over the people. And the veil that is spread over all nations. And this is why we're able to see. That's why it goes on to say, arise, verse 1, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. So this truth, which is the light, shined upon us, gave us the right and proper way to go through, to be able to see through the darkness, to be able to expose this darkness, this dark veil of Esau, you know, and what he has done on a world scale. And we're seeing it happen, and we're witnessing his collapse. We're witnessing his downfall. We're witnessing him in his turmoil. We're witnessing him falling. Like Yahushua said, I've seen Satan fall like lightning from heaven, because the Spirit of the Lord has been using us to chant down Babylon, so to speak, like Benjamin says. You know? Because this word doesn't go out void, like the scriptures say. So every time this word is being spoken, it hacks away at Esau's kingdom. It hacks away at Esau's agenda. It hacks away at all of this demonic activity that's going on around the world. And although the Lord could snap his finger and bring them down just like that, this is how he desires to bring this devil down. What if the Most High, willing to show his power or make his power known, endure with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction? So they've been fitted to destruction, and they will be dealt with. So we're witnessing everything crumbling around him, because the light of the Lord has shined upon us, and the Spirit moved us to speak and teach these words to be able to break this whole empire down, to be able to expose the matrix, to be able to teach this word, so that the Lord could wake up his elect from among wherever Israel is at. It says, for behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. So these people are in gross darkness. Matter of fact, let's look up this word, gross darkness. You have darkness, but you have gross darkness. Irapal. Cloud, heavy or dark cloud, darkness, gross darkness, thick darkness. So they're pickled in it. They're pickled in that darkness, from the word irap, to drop, drip, to drop, trickle. So they're pickled in this darkness, this gross darkness. It says, but the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And this is why Yahushua said, a city that's set on a hill cannot be hid. You are the light of the world. Because Yahushua is the light, and he gave us the light to shine the light upon the world, so that those that are part of the elect can wake up, and that this world can be condemned by the same words that these devils say they believe in, which they don't. All right, let's see what else we got. I had some other precepts, but you know what? We're going to end it off here in the book of 2 Thessalonians. Let's see, 2 Thessalonians. I had a whole bunch of scripture. Lord's will, maybe I could do another lesson. Let's end it off here, 2 Thessalonians 2, and let's start at 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that the day of Hamashiach is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So the falling away first was during 70 AD when we fell. Now, the man of sin, the son of perdition, is being revealed now. And when we look at this, the man of sin being revealed, he's being revealed now, and the son of perdition, this son of perdition goes hand in hand with Revelation 17, where it speaks about the eighth beast, the eighth head, that is coming, but is going into perdition. So this is all synonymous today, with Esau falling. So before they can fall, they have to first be exposed. And they've been being exposed for the longest. Yep, through the information superhighway. That's right. The brother D. Duncan, that's right. And Salaki, I haven't read any brother's comments, but I've been kind of locked in the zone with the lesson. It said, who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God. See, so everything that has to do with the Most High, he exalts himself above the Most High. He thinks he's smarter than the Most High. He thinks he is the Most High. That's why, matter of fact, I didn't read it, but let's read it now. Isaiah, thought I had it. You know what? Let's just go here. Isaiah chapter 14. I had it somewhere, but I think Isaiah 14 and 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High. So they're trying to be like the Most High, but the Lord said, what? Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, meaning to destruction, to the sides of the pit, because you're on a downward spiral. Babylon can't be healed anymore. So 2 Thessalonians 2 and 4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, because the Most High's word is where? In the Bible. And when you look at his agenda goes contrary to what the scriptures say. It doesn't have anything to do with what the scriptures say. Although his manipulation and agenda and deception is written within the scriptures, but the purpose of the scriptures as far as setting up righteousness on the earth, he's not going to do it because he's the wicked, or that is worshipped. And we see that. Who else is worshipped more than the so-called white man as being God and so-called Jesus and the angels and all of that? There's no other nation that compares. And this devil gets offended when you dare to question him on that, and dare to show him in the scriptures that the Lord is the Most High is a so-called black man, his son is a so-called black man, the angels are so-called black men, so on and so forth. And they'll be highly offended. You know? Well, I'd never, or you never will either. So that he as the Most High sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is the Most High. And they do that. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. Because the Most High withheld certain things from being revealed back then, because it wasn't fully time for the devil to be revealed. It wasn't until this time now, 2,000 years later, that this devil was to be fully revealed like he's being revealed now. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, because the Roman Empire was already in power back then, and the deception was already brewing from back then. You know, even from the Greek Empire, when they painted their images, you know, but back then they couldn't pull a okie doke on Jake, because Jake knew who they were back then. We knew who we were back then. We knew who the Most High was, and Yahweh Shai, so on and so forth. You know, we knew that they were men of color, so-called black men, not no so-called white men. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And the Most High allowed this devil to do what he did until the Lord is getting ready to take him out the way. And now we're reading about what's going to take place before the Most High takes him down. It says, and then shall that wicked be revealed. Why? Because it's time for them to be revealed. It's time for them to be taken out of the way. So the first step in getting them out of the way is what? And then shall that wicked be revealed. They have to be revealed before they can be taken down. And when we look up the word revealed, it goes into the word, like the word apocalypsis, which is apocalypse, which is revelation. Apocalypton, and it's a compound where apo or apple, or from the apocrypha, means sent away, and kalupto is the veil. It's a cover, see? And this is why we read in Isaiah 25 and 7 that the Most High is the one that took that veil off, or that covering off, to uncover, lay open what has been veiled or covered up. And how is that being done? By the truth coming down and knocking down all those lies that they set up. Disclose, make bare. And the Most High is making them bare. He's making Esau naked. To make known, make manifest, disclose what was known, was before, what before was unknown. See? To disclose what before was unknown. And through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, through his word, the Lord gave us the ability and the power to see right through him and to be able to expose him. And brothers are going hard body, you know, in the scriptures, in the spirit, revealing this devil day and night, all throughout the world. So you don't think this word is having an effect? You know, at one point we never thought brothers in South America, Mexico, and all that wake up. We got camps in Peru, in Costa Rica, in Mexico, Ecuador. My goodness, Australia, Africa, you know, Germany, all over the world, man. Forget about it. Central Africa, you know? I mean, just, man, this truth is overwhelming Esau. So it says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. And that's how the Lord is doing it, by his prophets. Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants of the prophets. So what does that mean? That means before the Most High makes a move, he reveals the secrets to his servants of prophets. The prophets go out and prophesy against these kingdoms of pestilence and earthquakes and the fall of them. And then the Most High makes his move and brings them down. And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, because that is the second death, which is the nuclear missiles. That wall of fire with the fire from the lasers from the chariots. That's the second death. And that's how this devil is going to be taken out, with the brightness of his coming. Even him who's coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, because people look at the word Satan as is just the spiritual demon Satan. But no, they have children on the earth. And in the children on the earth are the Edomites. And then outside of that, you have other nations, including Israelites, that fall under the banner of being Satan. That's why Yahweh said, you are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. It says, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness and them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And this truth is what's going to save the elect. And for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. And this is why you still have 2/3 of Jake around the world that are still knee deep in the matrix. They haven't woke up out of that matrix. They haven't woken up out of that assembly line of confusion, that pattern of confusion. That agenda that has been pushed upon the whole world by the devil, the Edomites, beginning with the international bankers, the international banking elites, the Roman Catholic Church, plantation Christianity, their politics, their military, so on and so forth. It says that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Yep. But we are bound to give thanks always to the Most High for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because the Most High hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth. And this is heavy, man. The Lord chose the elect for salvation through sanctification of the Spirit, which is this word, the Holy Spirit, and belief of the truth. And that's the seal. Whereunto he called you by our gospel to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. And the calling of our gospel is also a condemnation to Esau's world and this society. Let's go real quick to Isaiah 54 and 17. It says, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. Because Yahweh said, I will give you a mouth with wisdom, which none of thy adversaries shall be able to gainsay nor resist. So it says, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So going back to 2 Thessalonians 2:14, whereunto he called you by our gospel to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord Yahushai. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which you have been taught, whether by word or our epistle. Why? Because there was times when the Apostle Paul wasn't able to be physically there. And there's going to be a time when some that he taught were not endure sound doctrine. The same thing is going on today. And there's a lot of underhanded, foul, wicked shit going on. That other camps are just looking past and not even touching on. Now our Lord Yahweh Shai himself and the Most High, even our Father, which hath loved us and hath given us everlasting consolation and good hope through grace, because this truth that was given to us is proof that the Lord loves us. It says, comfort your hearts and establish you in every good word and work. Yeah, because this is where it's at, man. This truth is where it's at. So with that, this has been the Matrix woke out of slumber. It's a beautiful thing, Barak Tehau Bashem Yahushai, that he woke us up out of that deep sleep that the world is in. We pray to stay humble and to make it all the way to the end. And we pray that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai guide us, our families, all the brothers out there that's laboring in this truth and sincerity and fighting valiantly, and on the front line of the truth, teaching it. And with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. Until the next time, I say shalom. Chariots, death, and that's how this devil is going to be taken out with the brightness of his coming. Even him who's coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, because people look at the word Satan as is just the spiritual demon Satan. But no, they have children on the earth, and the children on the earth are the Edomites, and then outside of that you have